5 years after the tribunal ruling, Earth looked to the stars with new eyes. The planet had changed in ways no one could have imagined before the Carrion invasion. Cities rebuilt with a mix of human and alien technology rose from the ashes of destruction. People went about their lives, but their gaze often drifted upward to the night sky. Commander Alan Rivers stood on the bridge of the Defiance Aya, Earth's first true interstellar vessel. The original Defiance had been a desperate cobbling together of stolen technology. This ship represented something different, humanity's legitimate place among the stars. Status report. Rivers called to his crew. "All systems optimal," Commander, replied his first officer. "We're ready to make the jump to the Proxima system." Rivers nodded. This would be Earth's third official exploration mission, since joining the Confederation as a protected developing world. The ship carried scientists, diplomats, and a small security team. Down on Earth, Dr. George Hayes led the new Global Technology Institute. The facility sprawled across what had once been a carrion extraction site. Now it housed thousands of researchers who studied and improved upon alien technology. "The new shielding system is ready for testing," Hayes told his team as they gathered around a prototype. "This one is entirely our design, not copied from Confederation tech." One of the scientists smiled. "The Carrions said we were primitive. Now we're designing systems they want to buy from us." In Washington, D.C., Samantha Wright directed Earth's Interstellar Intelligence Agency. Her office overlooked the rebuilt Capitol, where traditional human architecture blended with advanced materials from a dozen worlds. Samantha reviewed reports from human agents, now stationed on various Confederation planets. Earth had learned the hard way that knowledge was power. They would never again be caught unaware. Her computer chimed with an incoming message from Lisa Carter. After the war, Lisa had become Earth's ambassador to the Confederation. She spent most of her time at the Great Station, where the tribunal had been held. The vote passed. Lisa's message read, "The Earth precedent is now official Confederation law. No species can be classified without independent verification from at least 3 council members." Samantha smiled. The law would prevent what happened to Earth from happening to any other developing world. On the Confederation Council, Andrew Morgan represented humanity's voice. Today, he stood before representatives of all member species, including the Carrions. Their status had been reduced after the tribunal ruling, but they remained part of the Confederation. "The human integration has created unexpected benefits," Andrew told the Council. "Our different perspective has identified opportunities that were previously overlooked." Several council members nodded in agreement. In just 5 years, humans had contributed new approaches to medicine, engineering, and art that impressed even ancient species. The Carrion representative, not CERN, but a younger, more progressive member of their species, spoke next. "We acknowledge that the human capability for adaptation is remarkable. Our species misjudged yours, to our detriment." It wasn't quite an apology, but it was progress. After the council meeting, Andrew met with Ambassador Vaylor. The Carrion who had helped Earth during the invasion now served as a bridge between their worlds. 3 more developing worlds have been reclassified because of the Earth precedent, Vaylor told him. Species that might have been exploited will now have the chance to join the Confederation as equals. Andrew nodded. That was always the goal, not just to save Earth, but to change how the galaxy works. As night fell around the world, humans looked up at the stars with a new understanding. They were no longer alone, no longer isolated on their small blue planet. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had been invaded, and in responding, they had changed galactic history. In orbit above Earth, the Defiance Eye prepared for its jump to another star system. Commander Rivers gave the final order, and the ship vanished in a flash of light, carrying humanity's representatives farther into the galaxy, not as victims or conquerors, but as equals who had earned their place among the stars. The Confederation observers arrived in 3 small ships that looked nothing like Carrion vessels. They were smooth, round, and glowed with soft green light. As they landed outside the rebuilt United Nations building in New York, Humans gathered to watch. Commander Rivers stood with Samantha, Dr. Hayes, Lisa, and Andrew as the visitors emerged. There were 5 different alien species, none of them carrion. They had different shapes, sizes, and colors, but all wore the same silver insignia marking them as Confederation officials. The tallest one stepped forward. It had 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. "I am Observer Cell of the Confederation Council," it said through a translation device. "We have come to investigate serious claims against the Carrion Authority." Rivers nodded. "We welcome you to Earth. We have much to show you." For the next week, the observers traveled around Earth. They saw the destruction caused by the Carrion attack. They visited processing centers where humans had been forced to work. They examined the evidence Andrew and Veller had collected. The observers seemed most surprised by how quickly humans had adapted Carrion technology. "You built these ships in 1 year?" Observer Cell asked, examining one of Rivers' fleet. "We had no choice," Rivers replied. "We had to fight back or die." When Dr. Hayes demonstrated the disruptor technology, another observer spoke up. "This device targets carrion biology specifically. How did you develop this so quickly?" Hayes explained his research simply. "We studied their biology and found a weakness. They did not expect us to understand their science." After gathering all the evidence, the observers called for a formal galactic tribunal. It would be held on a neutral Confederation station in space. Earth would send representatives to present their case. The day of departure came quickly. Rivers, Samantha, Hayes, Lisa, and Andrew boarded one of the captured carrion ships, now modified with human technology. Ambassador Veller joined them as an ally. "Are we ready for this?" Lisa asked as they left Earth's atmosphere. Rivers looked at his team. "We beat them in battle. Now we'll beat them in court." The journey to the Confederation station took 3 days. When they arrived, they saw hundreds of ships from different worlds. The station itself was enormous, a spinning ring larger than any city on Earth. Inside, the Galactic Tribunal Chamber held representatives from all 12 species of the Confederation. The Carrion delegation sat on one side, led by a high-ranking official named Zern. He glared at the humans as they entered. The tribunal began with the Carrions defending their actions. Zern spoke confidently. Humans were correctly classified as Class 3 semi-sentients. Their technology was primitive. Their societies were chaotic. The resource extraction operation was standard procedure. When it was Earth's turn, Andrew stepped forward. During his time hiding on the Carrion ship, he had learned Confederation law in detail. "The Carrions violated 7 major Confederation laws," he began. First, they deliberately misclassified humans despite their own survey data showing clear Class 1 markers. He presented the evidence from Veller. The chamber filled with murmurs as the representatives reviewed it. Second, Andrew continued, they attacked without proper authorization from the Confederation Council. As Andrew spoke, the evidence became clear. The Carrions had broken their own laws for profit. When Samantha presented data showing how quickly humans had advanced technologically, creating space vessels and defeating Carrion forces within 1 year, the chamber erupted in excited discussion. After 3 days of testimony, the tribunal reached its decision. The lead judge, a small being with crystalline features, stood to announce the verdict. Based on the evidence presented, this tribunal finds that humans of Earth display all markers of Class 1 sentience. The Carrion attack was unauthorized and illegal under Confederation law. The judge turned to the human delegation. Earth is hereby granted full reparations, including technology access and protection status. The Carrions will face sanctions for their violations. Rivers and his team exchanged looks of triumph. They had not just won a battle, they had won recognition in the galaxy. Humanity had proven itself not just through strength, but through justice. 1 year after the Carrion invasion, Earth was ready to fight back. The day began like any other under alien rule. Carrion ships patrolled the skies. Humans worked in processing centers. Alien commanders sent routine reports to their fleet. Then everything changed. At exactly noon, resistance groups worldwide activated their disruptors. The devices sent invisible waves through the air, targeting the specific frequency that affected carrion nervous systems. In New York, the carrions guarding the main water extraction plant suddenly fell to the ground, unable to move. Lisa Carter led her team into the facility, faces covered with simple breathing masks. The masks weren't necessary for protection. The frequency didn't harm humans, but they hid their smiles as they took control. Plant secure, Lisa reported through her radio. Moving to Phase 2. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In London, Paris, Tokyo, and 100 other locations, carrions dropped while resistance fighters moved in. They captured alien weapons, communication devices, and transport ships. In orbit above Earth, Commander Rivers led the attack on the carrion fleet. His 12 ships, once experimental prototypes, now formed Earth's first true space navy. They were smaller than carrion vessels, but faster and more maneuverable. Squadron 1, target their communication arrays, Rivers ordered from the bridge of his flagship. Squadron 2, focus on engine systems. Disable, don't destroy. We need those ships. The human vessels darted between the larger carrion ships, firing precisely at vulnerable points. On the carrion vessels, crews struggled as the disruptor frequency reached them through their hulls. A carrion commander managed to send a distress call to the Confederation before his ship was captured. Earth humans attacking. Request immediate assistance. They have weapons that target our biology. The message cut off as Rivers' team boarded the command ship. Meanwhile, on the main carrion vessel, Andrew Morgan and Ambassador Vaylor put their plan into action. Vaylor had gathered several like-minded carrions who believed the attack on Earth was wrong. Together with Andrew, they took control of the ship's communication center. Transmitting now, Andrew said, connecting a device to the carrion systems, sending evidence of violations to the Confederation Council. The data package contained everything. Proof that humans had been deliberately misclassified, records of unauthorized attacks, and evidence of carrion leadership knowingly breaking Confederation law. Back on Earth, Samantha coordinated a worldwide cyber attack against carrion systems. She had spent months studying their technology and finding weaknesses. Initiating Phase 3, she said, typing final commands into her computer at Hope Base, turning their systems against them. Across the planet, carrion defense systems shut down. Their automated weapons turned on their own positions. Their door locks released, freeing human prisoners. Dr. Hayes monitored the effects of the disruptors from his lab. The frequency is working perfectly, he told his team. The carrions can't adapt to it. Their biology simply can't handle it. By sunset, the tide had turned dramatically. Humans controlled most major carrion installations on Earth. Rivers' fleet had captured or disabled 8 carrion ships in orbit. Andrew and Vaylor had successfully transmitted their evidence to the Confederation Council. The carrions, expecting an easy conquest of a primitive species, now faced something they never imagined: defeat at the hands of those they considered inferior. In what had been Washington, D.C., Lisa's team raised a simple flag over a captured carrion base. Not a national flag, but a new one representing all of Earth, blue and green with a single star. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," Rivers' communications officer reported. "It's from the Confederation Council. They're sending observers to investigate the situation." Rivers smiled. "Tell them we'll be happy to meet with them. Earth has a lot to discuss with the Confederation." The message went out. For the first time since the invasion, humanity spoke to the galaxy not as victims, but as victors. 6 months into the occupation, hope grew in the hidden places of Earth. Lisa Carter's team had succeeded in capturing a carrion soldier. They transported their prisoner through mountain paths to Hope Base, avoiding carrion patrols along the way. Dr. Hayes could barely contain his excitement when they arrived. "Put him in the shielded room," he told Lisa's team. "I need to test my theory right away." The carrion, bound, and angry, clicked and hissed in its native language. Samantha understood every word. "He says we'll all die when his friends find us," she translated. Standard threats. Dr. Hayes worked quickly, setting up equipment around the sealed room where the carrion was held. On screens, they could see the alien pacing, searching for a way out. "Ready," Hayes said, his finger hovering over a button. "Here goes." He activated the device. It hummed softly, emitting electromagnetic waves at a very specific frequency. Inside the room, the carrion suddenly froze. Then it dropped to its knees, blue skin turning a sickly gray. It writhed in pain but made no sound. Hayes quickly turned off the device. The carrion gasped and slowly recovered. "It works," Hayes whispered. "The frequency disrupts their nervous system, but has no effect on humans." Rivers nodded, his mind already planning. "Can we build larger versions, something that could cover a whole carrion base?" "With the right parts, yes," Hayes said, "but we'd need to raid their technology centers." Meanwhile, in space, Andrew Morgan received important information from Velar. They met in their usual hidden spot on the carrion ship. "I've accessed the original survey reports on Earth," Velar said, passing Andrew a small data device. "The carrions deliberately misclassified humans as Class 3 semi-sentients when their own data showed clear Class 1 markers." Andrew took the device. "This is exactly what we need. Is there a way to transmit this to Earth?" Velar's large eyes blinked slowly. "Dangerous, but possible. I can help." Back on Earth, Samantha worked day and night studying Confederation law. She found something important. "Look at this," she told Rivers, pointing to translated text on her screen. "The carrions broke at least 7 major Confederation laws when they attacked Earth. If we can present this evidence to the Confederation Council, they might be forced to intervene." Rivers studied the information. "Good work, but we need a way to contact the Council directly. And first, we need to push back the carrions here on Earth." In Virginia, Lisa's resistance group grew larger every day. They developed new tactics to fight the carrions. They discovered that water confused carrion motion sensors, so they fought during rainstorms. They learned that carrions couldn't see well in red light, so they used red flashlights to move at night. Small victories added up. Resistance groups around the world shared information through Samantha's secure network. They captured more carrion technology. They freed more human workers from processing centers. At Hope Base, the fleet of hybrid ships now numbered 12. Rivers trained pilots using simulators built from carrion technology. They weren't ready for space combat yet, but they could fly, and their weapons worked. Dr. Hayes developed portable versions of his electromagnetic weapon. He called it the Disruptor. Each resistance group received several of these devices, along with instructions on how to use them against carrions. One day, a special message arrived from space. Andrew had managed to send data from the carrion ship. It contained everything they needed: Confederation laws, proof of carrion violations, and maps of carrion bases on Earth. Rivers called a meeting with Samantha, Hayes, and Lisa, who had come to collect more disruptors for her team. "It's time," Rivers said, looking at each of them. "We have the weapons. We have the ships. We have the legal case against them. In 1 month, we launch our counterattack." "The carrions think they know humans," Samantha said. "They think they've seen our worst. They haven't seen anything yet." Lisa nodded. "They crossed the line when they attacked Earth. Now we'll show them exactly what that means." Around the table, they began to plan humanity's response, a response that would change galactic history forever. 3 months after the carrion attack, Earth looked very different. Smoke still rose from ruined cities. Giant metal structures stood where parks and lakes once were, pumping water and minerals to carrion ships. Humans moved in lines, watched by alien guards, working like ants in a farm. But not all humans. Lisa Carter had been a school teacher before the invasion. Now she led 200 survivors in the forests of Virginia. They moved at night, hiding during the day. They raided carrion supply points and freed human workers when they could. Tonight, Lisa watched through binoculars as a carrion transport landed near a processing center. "Ready?" she asked the people beside her. They nodded, gripping makeshift weapons and stolen carrion tools. Lisa gave the signal. Her people moved quickly through the trees toward the landing site. In the Rocky Mountain facility, now called Hope Base, Commander Rivers studied a map with Samantha and Dr. Hayes. Small lights on the map showed resistance groups across the world. "Lisa's group hit another supply point last night," Samantha said, "and the Australian cell took down a scout ship." Rivers nodded. "Good. We need more carrion tech. How's the fleet coming?" Hayes pointed to screens showing a hidden valley. Workers moved around 5 ships, a mix of captured carrion vessels and human craft fitted with alien technology. 2 are fully operational, Hayes said. The others need more work, but they fly, and the shields work. Samantha tapped at her computer. "I've decoded more of their transmissions. The carrions are confused by our resistance. Listen to this." She played a recording. A translated carrion voice said, "The humans fight differently than other Class 3 species. They do not surrender even when defeat is certain. The Confederation Council requests explanation for continued resistance." "They still think we're animals," Rivers said. "Good. Let them underestimate us." In space, aboard the main carrion ship, Andrew Morgan crawled through maintenance tunnels. After 3 months hiding, he knew the ship better than most carrions. He had mapped their systems, learned their routines, and most importantly, made contact with Ambassador Vaylor. Vaylor was different from other carrions. He believed the attack on Earth was wrong. Tonight, Andrew was meeting him in a small storage room. "The council is divided," Vaylor told Andrew when they met. "Some think the Earth operation costs too much. The human resistance is stronger than expected." "We're just getting started," Andrew said. "Tell me more about Confederation law. There must be rules about attacking other species." Vaylor's large eyes blinked slowly. "Yes. The attack on Earth broke several protocols. Humans were misclassified as Class 3 when you show clear signs of Class 1 sentience. But I need proof to take to the Council." Andrew nodded. "I'll get you proof." Back on Earth, in Lisa's forest camp, a radio crackled. A coded message came through from Hope Base. Lisa decoded it quickly. "They want us to capture a carrion," she told her group. "Alive." Her second-in-command frowned. "Why?" "They're too dangerous." "Dr. Hayes needs one for his research," Lisa explained. "He thinks he's found a way to hurt them without hurting us." In his lab, Hayes worked day and night. The screens around him showed carrion cell structures breaking down when exposed to specific electromagnetic frequencies. "The problem," he explained to Rivers, "is that we need more powerful transmitters than we have, and we need to test it on a live subject." Rivers nodded. "Lisa's team will get you one. In the meantime, keep working on the ships. We need to be ready when the time comes." Samantha entered the room with new information. "I found something interesting in their legal codes," she said. "If we can prove the carrions violated Confederation law by attacking us, we might gain allies among other alien species." Rivers looked at the information. For the first time in months, he smiled. "So we don't just need to beat them," he said. "We need to beat them by their own rules." Around the world, in hidden places, humanity prepared, not just to survive, but to fight back in ways the carrions never expected. The sky burned red over what remained of New York. Carrion ships moved like sharks through clouds of smoke and dust. It had been 12 hours since the first attacks. 12 hours that changed everything. Commander Alan Rivers gripped the control panel of the Defiance. The experimental spacecraft had been hidden in an underground base, unknown even to most military leaders. Its shields and engines used technology reverse-engineered from scraps of carrion tech. Now it was humanity's only hope. "Status report," Rivers called to his small crew of survivors. "Shields at 42%, answered the young pilot, his face streaked with dirt. "We took damage escaping Earth orbit, but we're stable." Rivers nodded. The Defiance wasn't pretty, a cobbled-together mix of human and alien technology. But it had survived when nothing else did. They had watched from orbit as carrion weapons turned cities to ash. Down on Earth, Samantha Wright crawled through the rubble of the Space Defense Command bunker. The carrions had hit it directly, but the deepest levels held. She clutched a small hard drive to her chest. On it was everything she had learned about the aliens, their language, their tactics, their weaknesses. A sound made her freeze. Voices, not human. Samantha pressed herself against a fallen wall as two carrions walked past. They carried strange devices that hummed and flashed with blue light. "Life signs in this sector are minimal," one said in their language. Samantha understood every word now. "Proceed to extraction point 7B. She waited until they left, then continued moving. She had to find Dr. Hayes. He had the biological samples. Together, their data might give humanity a chance. Meanwhile, aboard the main carrion ship, Andrew Morgan hid inside an air duct. When the attack began, he had slipped away during the confusion. For days, he had moved through the ship's maintenance tunnels, stealing food and water when possible. Now he listened as two high-ranking carrions discussed their plans below him. "The resistance is stronger than expected," said one. "These humans don't surrender like other Class 3 species." "It doesn't matter," replied the other. "Their weapons are primitive. They'll be processed within 30 days. Andrew carefully recorded everything with a small device in his pocket. If he could get this information to any surviving humans. In the Rocky Mountains, Dr. George Hayes worked frantically in a makeshift lab. The research facility had been built years ago as a doomsday bunker. Now it was one of humanity's last strongholds. "I need more time," he muttered, looking through a microscope at carrion blood samples. The lab door opened. Hayes reached for a gun. "It's just me," said Samantha, limping into the room. "Don't shoot." Hayes lowered the weapon. "Samantha, how did you find us?" "Rivers gave me the coordinates before the attack," she said, placing her hard drive on the table. "I brought you a gift." Hayes hugged her briefly, then turned back to his work. "Look at this," he said, pointing to his screen. "Their cellular structure is different from ours in one key way. They can't handle certain types of radiation that are harmless to humans." Samantha's eyes widened. "A weakness?" "Maybe," Hayes nodded. "But I need equipment we don't have to be sure." In space, the Defiance drifted behind Earth's moon, hidden from carrion sensors. Rivers studied a map of carrion positions around Earth. "They've set up bases in major cities," he told his crew. "They're taking our water, minerals, even biological samples." "Why not just kill everyone?" asked the pilot. "Resources," Rivers answered grimly. "They need some of us alive for labor, but not many." His communication system beeped, a coded message. Rivers decoded it quickly, then smiled for the first time in days. "It's from Samantha," he said. "She and Hayes are alive. They've found something about the carrion's biology. A potential weakness." The crew gathered around, hope flickering in their tired eyes. "We need to get to the mountain facility," Rivers said, "and we need to capture carrion technology. This isn't over yet." Outside, Earth burned, but in hiding places around the world and beyond, humanity prepared to fight back. 6 months passed since the carrions first arrived. Their ships now orbited Earth like new moons. People grew used to seeing the blue-skinned aliens walking among them. Schools taught children about the stars the carrions came from. In stores, people bought toys of alien ships. Catherine Bell checked her bag one more time before boarding the shuttle. As one of Earth's top scientists, she had been chosen to study carrion propulsion systems on their main ship. Her hand shook slightly with excitement. "Dr. Bell," called the carrion guide, "we are ready." The shuttle ride was smooth. Catherine watched Earth shrink below her. The Carrion mothership grew larger in the window, a massive ring of silver metal that seemed to glow from within. On the other side of the world, Andrew Morgan straightened his tie. As Earth's main diplomat to the aliens, he was about to sign the first trade agreement between humans and Carrions. Cameras flashed as he smiled and shook hands with Envoy Zealous. "This marks a new chapter for both our peoples," Andrew said. Zealous nodded, his large eyes blinking slowly. Indeed. Far away from the cameras and smiling faces, 12 Carrion leaders sat in a dark room aboard their ship. They spoke in their own clicking language. "The humans advance quickly," said one. "They ask too many questions. They are primitive but clever," said another, "like tool-using animals. The Council has classified them as Class 3 semi-sentients," said the head Carrion. "They have no rights under Confederation law. We may proceed as planned." Only one Carrion, Ambassador Vaylor, disagreed. "They show signs of true sentience. Their art, their music. They are resources, nothing more," interrupted the leader. "The vote is taken. Begin the next phase." Back on Earth, Samantha Wright sat in a small, dark room beneath the Space Defense Command. Screens covered the walls, showing intercepted Carrion transmissions. For months, she had worked to crack their codes. Today, she finally succeeded. Her eyes widened as she read the translated message. "Human containment zones prepared. Resource extraction begins after population reduction. Estimate 70% decrease required for optimal efficiency." Samantha reached for her phone with shaking hands. "Get me Commander Rivers. Now." On the Carrion ship, Catherine wandered away from her guide. The Carrions had shown her only basic systems, nothing she hadn't already guessed. During a lunch break, she slipped away and found an empty control room. Catherine quickly connected her small device to the Carrion computer. She had built it to translate their data. The screen filled with images that made her gasp. Maps of Earth with large areas marked in red. Plans for weapons. Lists of resources to be taken. "What are you doing here?" The voice came from behind her. Catherine spun around to face her Carrion guide, whose friendly expression had vanished. "You've seen too much," the Carrion said, reaching for her. In Washington, D.C., Commander Rivers studied the reports from Samantha. "Are you absolutely certain?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "They're planning to attack. Soon. We need more proof to convince the president," Rivers said. "Dr. Hayes is meeting us here in an hour with his research, and we're waiting for data from Catherine on the ship." As Rivers spoke, his computer screen flashed with alerts, then went black. Around the world, the same thing happened. Power grids failed. Communications went silent. And in the sky, the Carrion ships began to move. Dr. Hayes rushed into Rivers' office, out of breath. "They're attacking. They've hit the West Coast military bases." Rivers looked at his emergency phone. It still worked. "Get to the bunker," he ordered. "Samantha, grab your data. Hayes, your research. We have 40 minutes before they hit D.C." In space, Andrew Morgan watched in horror from a window on the Carrion ship as bright flashes lit up Earth's surface. When he turned around, Envoy Zealous stood watching him with cold eyes. "Why?" Andrew asked. "Because you are there, and we need what you have," Zealous replied simply. "Nothing personal, just galactic economics." The attack had begun, and humanity was not ready. The silver disk appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning in 2087. It hung over New York City, silent and still. The world held its breath. Commander Alan Rivers stood on the roof of the North American Space Defense Command building, binoculars fixed on the alien craft. His heart hammered in his chest, but his hands remained steady. 20 years in the military had prepared him for many things. First contact with aliens wasn't one of them. "Sir, the president is on the line," said Lieutenant Frank Davis, holding out a secure phone. Rivers took the phone. "Yes, Madam President. I see it. No, they haven't made any moves yet. Inside the command center, screens showed the alien ship from every angle. News channels worldwide broadcast the same images. People filled the streets below, faces turned upward. Some prayed, some cried, most just stared. The ship sent its first message 3 hours later. It came through on all frequencies, in perfect English. People of Earth, we are the Carians. We come in peace and friendship. We wish to meet with your leaders. The message repeated in every major language on Earth. Rivers was selected to lead the first meeting team. As he stood in the prepared landing zone in Central Park, he tried to slow his breathing. Beside him stood Dr. George Hayes, a top xenobiologist, and Samantha Wright, the best intelligence officer in the country.